In addition to investigating the picture, I had some other leads to follow. First of all, Lupe had told me Molsberg would return during the day, and I absolutely had to question him. In addition, I wanted to better inspect the alley where I'd been challenged by that madman. I had to check if someone saw or heard something useful that night. I preferred not to find out what other treasures those sacks were hiding.
And who would you be, Grasshopper?
Who am I? I am...
Forget it, I don't care. You're hired as sous chef.
Sous chef?
Not that there was a queue for the job. We hung the sign outside the door 2 months ago, and you were the first and only one who showed up.
You'll be shocked to discover that there's no sign hanging on the door.
Damn Roger. He must have stolen it to use it as a dish. Such ingratitude.
Anyway, there must be some misunderstanding. I'm just here in the capacity of,
Are you here to work as a dishwasher? Very well, you can start right now.
It'd be an honor to work as a sous chef for a professional in the business. In fact, I've always dreamed of a career like this.
Great. I'm Chef Tony, and from now on, your life is mine.
Can I call you Antoine?
No. For now, there's not much to do, so just observe me and try to learn something. I'll find you something to do for tonight.
May I at least ask you some questions?
Do what you like, but try not to pester me.
Chef, did you notice anything weird in the alley out there the past few nights?
Weird? Weird, you say? Now that I think about it, yes.
Does it concern a mannequin with a bloody smile drawn on its face by any chance?
No, of course not. What kind of sexual fantasies do you have in that Yankee head? I just noticed that the night before last, old Roger didn't show up to beg for food like he usually does every blessed weekend.
Is he homeless?
By now, I consider him more like a regular. He comes here because he knows that on Saturday night the leftovers are more nutritious and elaborate than any other day.
Where could I find this Roger?
Roger is a vagrant. He usually changes places, so it's hard to say. But if I was really in a hurry to find him, I'd take a walk around Nancy's.
That pub-like place on the promenade, right?
That one exactly, Pipsqueak. Now go slice 5 pounds of fresh tomatoes, then mix them and put them on the stove with a drop of oil and a pinch of mustard.
Of course. Maybe in a minute. I'll go back to washing dishes, with your permission.
This mayonnaise keeps curdling.
Here's Nancy's, but still no trace of Roger the homeless guy. Hey! Are you the homeless Roger?
Dude, do I look like a homeless guy?
I don't know. Maybe you're undercover.
I'm Mike, and you're a detective, I gather.
How do you know that?
You're wearing a coat in Miami's promenade.
Huh, touche. So, do you know Roger the homeless guy or not?
Knowing him is a stretch, but I caught a glimpse of him sometimes. He sits right on this bench and stays there enjoying the sun. I didn't see him today, though.
I guess I'll have to stop by later then. So, what brings you to the promenade? Yoga?
Just stretching. I warm up for my daily training, as I do every day.
Are you an athlete?
Not by profession, but I like to keep in shape. Plus, this year I'd like to take part in the famous triathlon held here in Miami.
Ah, yes, the triathlon. Well, last year I went to watch it, but I had to leave halfway through the race. My scarf ended up in the spokes of a participant's bike, causing a series of spectacular falls.
You aren't going to assist with this year's competition, too, are you?
No, they put up posters with my face on them to keep me out.
Good.
Have you heard about the Molsberg scion's kidnapping?
No, I don't live in Miami, and honestly, I don't follow the local news.
See you, Mike.
See you soon, mate.
I didn't know what kind of plant it was, so I didn't care about it. The palm was marked with a red symbol on its trunk. I wonder what that meant. Typical seaside place, where exotic cocktails and Tex-Mex plates were served regularly. Hello.
Hi, Lars.
Look at this picture, Alice.
That's the recently kidnapped girl, isn't it? The one you were investigating.
Precisely. Do you recognize the guy accompanying young Kathrin?
I recognize the girl only because her picture is everywhere. I don't recall ever seeing him at all.
Have you got any way to find additional information?
I have many resources, my dear investigator. I'll make a copy of the picture, and I'll let you know, but I'll need some time.
Good girl. Dig up all the dirt you can.
Immediately, oh umpteenth wannabe alpha male. I'll let you know.
Another thing, while we're here. If I say the Italian word balsamo, or balm, does it remind you of anything?
Do you think this is the right time to play to word association games?
I can assure you that this balm is vital to the Molsberg investigation. Saying it out loud, I know it sounds a bit stupid, but you can't even imagine how much sweat it took me to get it.
I'll do a search. Maybe the word has a certain secondary meaning that we're missing.
Hello.
Hi, Lars.
I can't stop staring at your lock.
All right, then. Come on, lay out your hypothesis. Let's see your famous intuition at work.
Judging by your behavior, I'd say that in your adolescence you were a shy and introverted girl. You spent your days wondering how it would be, for once, to find the courage to strike up a conversation with anyone. Courage, however, that you never found, causing you to grow that rebellious lock, hoping it might earn you a shred of attention. That was your way of declaring to the whole world you weren't the loser they thought.
I don't mean to brag, but at school, I was one of the most popular girls. I did well in almost all my subjects, but not enough to be classified a bookworm. You let me down. Maybe you're not the great detective that I thought.
I'm just warming up. We'll catch up later, Alice.
That's the first time you didn't call me intern.
Who are you? And why have you entered my house without even knocking?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lupe gave me free access. I'm Detective Bundy, of the HPD. I'm helping with your daughter's kidnapping case.
The HPD, you said? Am I wrong? Or are we talking about that new support police department formed in the last few years?
You're not wrong, and as you probably know, we average almost a 70% rate of closed cases. And of those, I can say without false modesty that almost 45% are closed by moi.
You're very self-confident, Mr. Did you say Bundy?
It didn't seem right to thump my chest and scream my name as usual, so I just nodded in silence.
So tell me, why is the HPD involved in a normal kidnapping case?
We both know this is not a normal kidnapping case. You are a big shot in this town. The police asked us to help. I hope you don't mind. And most of all, I hoped you wouldn't check. At that moment, I was balanced on a fragile tower of lies.
No, I don't mind at all. The more the forces that cooperate, the greater the chance that we have of finding my daughter as soon as possible. I'm at your complete disposal for anything you may need.
Perfect. And remember, please don't leave the country until the investigation is concluded. He shot me a look that immediately indicated, and without any doubt, that in that house, there was no room for humor. Mr. Molsberg?
Go ahead.
What can you tell me about your daughter?
And Kathrin. I know it might sound strange given her social status, but she was a very simple girl. Everyone that knew her couldn't help but love her. But at the same time, nobody dared get too close. You know what it's like.
I understand perfectly. Anything else?
She loved music. You might think that's a family trait, but it's not. Kathrin was the first and only one of us who ever touched an instrument. Personally, I know little or nothing about music.
I have to ask, do you think there is anyone who might want to hurt her?
I absolutely and categorically reject the idea. Kathrin had no enemies.
I couldn't help but notice how Molsberg talked about his daughter in the past tense. It seemed a bit too soon for such resignation. About the sign painted on the facade. How do you think they did it? It's quite high.
I have thought about it nonstop for hours. And honestly, I can't explain it.
Tell me everything you saw or heard.
Last night, the silence was abruptly broken by a loud crash. Me and the gardener, who lives in the shed behind the mansion, ran outside and found that symbol. I immediately thought it was blood, but fortunately I was wrong. It's just paint. There's something I find rather odd. Namely, why bother painting that symbol?
By doing so, the culprit ensured the image would travel around the world and achieve the desired visibility, attracting my attention specifically.
You have a very refined cognitive process, Mr. Bundy. I can understand why you were assigned to the case.
I'd be interested to know what business you're in precisely.
Without boring you with the technical details, my company works in the field of shipyards.
Boats? Are they that profitable?
We're talking about a company that covers every sector, from little rafts for family entertainment to luxury yachts, which, believe me, very few people can afford. Right up to the construction of entire oil platforms.
That must cost a fortune.
You can't even imagine. For such jobs, we only agree to participate in exchange for sharing the revenue that results from the actual extraction. At the end of the day, Mr. Bundy, it's always about oil.
Do you know if your daughter was involved in a romantic relationship during this period?
What the hell kind of a question is that? I refuse to talk about my daughter's private affairs.
Your daughter has been kidnapped, and every possible lead must be followed. So please, avoid making a scene, and be cooperative.
You're right. Sorry for my overreaction. But even if I wanted to, I wouldn't know what to say. No, I don't think Kathrin was having a romantic relationship with anyone. She's still just a girl.
Maybe she is to you. Look at this photo.
Where did you find it?
I'll keep my sources confidential if you don't mind. Now, can you please explain to me why you look so upset?
That picture would be very inconvenient if leaked to the press, Mr. Bundy. My daughter's kidnapping would quickly devolve into rumors of a romantic getaway, and that's a scenario I can't risk happening.
I can assure you this photo will remain in my hands only. But now please answer the question.
I don't recognize that man. I trust you'll identify him and then report back to me, won't you?
I'll keep you updated, but bear these words firmly in mind. I don't work for you.
I understand perfectly. Now, if you don't mind, I have to steel myself and regain control of my business.
His reaction seemed disproportionate to me, not attributable to simple fatherly jealousy. To hell with Molsberg's wishes. I'd tear apart his room.
Dios mío, qué susto. You scared me.
I didn't think there was anybody in the house. I hoped there was nobody in the house.
Even if the pain is fuerte, I couldn't leave the house in dirt, you understand? And then I couldn't leave el señor Mulzberg alone in such a moment. He is upset and feels that he can do nothing of use.
Commendable, but now you should really let me search the room.
I cannot let anybody enter in here, you remember?
I get it, but I might find something useful for my investigation.
Si fuera por mí, I'd let you search the whole house, but this job me necesita y no puedo risk to lose it.
I understand. Don't worry. Oh, but do worry, Senora Maid. I'll get in there, one way or another.
Bring Miss Kathrin back to us, I beg you.
Just what I needed. The maid decided to be a hero right at the least appropriate moment for my investigation. I strongly felt I had to get in there, and I certainly wasn't going to be stopped by a stereotypical maid talking in Spanglish. Tell me something else about Kathrin.
Lately she was having a time of isolation. Muy preocupante. Maybe because a piano competition went wrong. The kid really cared about it. She practiced for a long time.
How long did this isolation last?
Months and months, señor. It wasn't like her. Such a lively chica who never let nada get to her. Not even the spirits haunting the house could scare her.
The spirits haunting the house?
You'll think I'm loca, señor. Forget what I just tell you.
Don't worry, I'm used to crazy lunatics. Tell me more about these spirits.
The Molsbergs are a muy ancient familia, and the spirits of their ancestors are still in here.
Do you have any material proof? Maybe some ectoplasm, a recorded tape with macabre children's voices, something like that?
I never saw any of these manifestations, but la señorita Kathrin did. One night, while she was in the upstairs hall, she hears some whispers. Then, suddenly, words from a threatening voice echo in the air, and a bloody heart almost hit her.
What kind of threatening words?
One of the ancestors' mottos. I read it many times while I dust on the upper floor. Madre de Dios, I'm so terrified this could happen to me too. I come from a very Catholic familia, and the bloody heart always scared me since I was a niña.
I liked Kathrin more and more. Taking advantage of a bloody heart and a motto uttered from who knows where, she had designed an epic prank. Unconsciously, from the past, the kid had just sent me a clue to getting rid of the maid. I should replicate that scenario myself by acquiring a bloody heart. I also had to figure out the cursed words used by the girl to lend credibility to her story. The housekeeper told me she had read it while dusting on the upper floor. In addition, I needed a place where I would have full view of the housekeeper, but the main door wasn't an option. There's absolutely nothing I can do to convince you to let me in, right?
Lo siento, señor, pero no puedo.
If I wanted to obtain access to that room, I'd have to scare that woman away. I needed a famous motto spoken by one of the Molsberg ancestors. I had to find a bloody heart to make the prank more believable, and I had to find a place where I wouldn't be seen to put the prank into action. Child's play, all things considered. What do you think of this photograph?
I never see that man before.
And yet Kathrin seemed to be pretty much of her current age.
Maybe a secret novio, como se dice, a sweetheart?
I have every intention of finding out. Let's make this day of investigation worthwhile.
Si puedo ayudar, estoy aquí, señor Bundy.
Archbishop Molsberg da Molina. Judging by his size, I imagine that he loved ham more than God. And there was more. It seemed that his love for food was second only to his lust for women. He even forged a motto about it. The love of the Lord must be experienced in every form to be truly grasped. This obsession of his, together with his size, caused him to die of heart failure at a not very advanced age. I recalled the story told by the maid. Was this Molina perhaps the inspiration for Kathrin's prank? Well, the broken heart didn't match. I had just discovered the words the kid had used to scare the maid to death. I thought I could tie some clothes to the radiator, creating a handmade rope that might lower me from the window. And the tycoon's room was directly underneath. A risky plan indeed. On the other side, I had walked across a wooden board suspended in midair the previous day, and I like to be consistent. I just had to take some more clothes downstairs. I couldn't get off the ledge yet. The bleeding heart was one of the key elements of my plan. I couldn't proceed without. Hey, Chef, you don't have a spare heart, do you?
They constantly ask for them. Those aristocratic pigs. You can find a bucket full of them near the entrance door.
To be honest, it's for personal use.
I knew immediately I'd hired a beginner, but I'd hope you had at least a little taste.
I am full of taste. I am
You're a runt, that's what you are.
Stop interrupting my official presentation. I perfected it over years.
Listen, Ant, fresh hearts are really expensive, and I surely won't waste one of them on a kitchen boy.
Okay, I get the message. What do I have to do to get that heart?
Now we're talking. I need some special number 5 meatballs, cooked with the recipe you can find on that counter over there. I'll need them in large quantities for tonight, so try to hurry.
The preparation seemed elementary, but the ingredients would be a problem. Florida ginger? I have no idea what that is.
It's a root, but I don't know its shape. Normally, my supplier delivers it already grated.
And the other ingredients? Don't we have any of them already?
You can find salt and pepper on your workstation. For the rest, you need to make do yourself. Ever since I threw that cleaver at him, my supplier has disappeared. Oh, and be careful with the exotic meat. It must have a fresh new taste, something never tried before. These aristocrats become more and more demanding.
Can I take that Parmesan from the shelf up there at least?
No, it's only the crust. I keep it there to lure out those damn rats that plague West Miami.
Tell me about it. I've also had my share of headaches with those little pests in my place. So I'd find salt and pepper right on the workstation. Considering the sophisticated nature of some of these ingredients, the Molsberg residence seemed like a promising place to start. Hello.
Hi, Lars.
I need a quick search.
Of course. Do you need information on Eric Molsberg? Or maybe his daughter?
Nah, much better than that. I need to know what Florida ginger looks like to prepare some meatballs.
Your investigative methods are even more bizarre than I thought.
I never back down from even the most absurd challenge.
Give me a second. Here you are. You should look for a little plant with wide leaves and red flowers. They look like small artichokes if you examine them closely.
Mm-hmm. Little plant, red leaves shaped like artichokes. Got it.
If you want to obtain its spice, you'll have to gently extract the root.
Excellent. You just saved me half a day of investigation. We'll catch up later, Alice.
Keep me posted.
Nothing. Still no trace of that phantom homeless guy, Roger. Judging by the description I had, that surely had to be the Florida ginger. Delicately, I extracted the root. By grating it, I'd be able to obtain the spice I needed. If I asked you for some ingredients, could you help me?
Lo siento mucho. I don't deal with the kitchen myself. The vintage wine, though. Senor Molsberg has always some bottles, but he does not keep them in the mansion.
Do you know where he stores them?
Unfortunately, no. But you know who you should ask? The gardener.
The gardener has vintage wine?
Actually, he shouldn't. As a matter of fact, he will never confess to you. The point is that le gusta beber, so from time to time he nicks a bottle from El Señor and hides it in the shed at the back.
In the shed, you said? Huh, good to know.
Oh, but he'll never let you in. He keeps the keys on his belt and guards them as if they fueran part of his body.
Don't worry, I have no intention of wasting time asking. Let's make this day of investigation worthwhile.
Si puedo ayudar, estoy aquí, señor Bundy.
There were the keys to the shed, hanging from the belt of the gardener. Asking him would be useless, given that they were covering up his little crime. The only solution was to try lifting them from him. There was an obstacle, though. The huge brim of his hat blocked my view. Maybe if I made him bend over... Hello, good man.
Yes?
Have you got any of these ingredients?
Incredible! This seems like the recipe for meatballs my mother used to make.
What nonsense. These are needed to create powder to help detect fingerprints at the crime scene.
Huh, a PDO egg. That's curious. Our Betsy is a purebred. A Sicilian hen, to be precise.
But that's exactly the quality I need. Can I take one egg?
I don't think it would be a problem, but I must warn you, that hen is a little surly.
And can you tell me anything about the Florida ginger?
I can't help you there, sorry.
Aren't you the gardener?
Confidentially speaking, I'm not exactly an expert botanist. Mr. Molsberg took it for granted after he saw my topiaries and hired me.
In short, you're totally useless. Lupe was right. The gardener completely glossed over the vintage wine. What can you tell me about this photo?
Well, well, they look like two tender lovebirds.
Did you consider this could be the kidnapper's face?
Gosh, you're right. Did you show the picture to the authorities?
Of course I did. Experienced forensic scientists are working on tracking the subject at this very moment. Let's talk about vintage wine.
Vintage wine? Never seen, never heard, and in fact, I'm a teetotaler.
Such a guilty conscience. Lupe was right. I would never get him to talk. Never mind. The keys were my target. Stick around. I could use the lock that caused me a big problem earlier to solve another. Now, bite me if you can, you fiendish hen. One more egg for me, one less for you, Featherbrain. Yet I didn't feel like leaving the diabolical creature locked up. I've always been a fan of personal freedom. With Ramos, it had proven to be a good plan, so why not?
What's happening to my pile of leaves?
Now that the gardener was bent over, I could clearly see the shed key. People should really add Velvet Fingers to my list of nicknames. Hey, you know what? I guess I lost my phone in that pile of leaves.
You freaked me out with that damn vibration. I thought it was a mole attack.
The cook demanded exotic meat with a taste never tried before. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that one satisfied both requirements. I couldn't pick it up with my bare hands, though. The cook demanded exotic meat with a taste never tried before. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that one satisfied both requirements. Hey, not bad at all. Toilet in the same room as the bed? Interesting idea. And there was the reason for my raid. That glow stick was too appealing to leave it where it was. Fortunately, it was retractable, so I managed to put it in my coat. I didn't want to rummage through that man's fridge. Who knows what kind of crap I'll find inside? Being very careful, I believed I would be able to grab that piece of Parmesan. I had collected all the necessary ingredients for my brief excursion into the culinary world. Now I could start the actual preparation. My sous chef table was waiting for me. Let's do that. And now, salt and pepper. Now, I just have to follow the recipe step by step. I'd be starting my culinary career by mincing meat for dogs. I put the meat back in the can, ready to be used. I must admit that it emitted an inviting aroma. The meat was ready to be prepared. The grater was ideal for, well, grating. Let's start with seasoning. I hope to crack open the egg without breaking it. I've always been really bad in the kitchen. At that point, I turned the griddle on to start cooking. I'd extract the spice from the root using that grater. And now, the final touch. Finally, after a half day of unpaid hard work, our incredible Chef Lazarus had completed his little culinary masterpiece. Now that I think about it, it still seems crazy to interrupt an investigation just to make some meatballs. But part of the reason I'm famous is because I never back down from a challenge. Yeah, not bad for a beginner. Here's your meatball, chef.
I'd give it up. Oh, damn. And you took only half the day to prepare them. Maybe I underestimated you, lightweight. Let's see what you did. Hell, it's formidable. I meant passable, that is.
I told you there was a real cook hiding deep inside me. I just had to spread my wings and fly. Can I take a heart now?
Suit yourself. I'll see you at 8 o'clock tonight, and be on time.
Like a Swiss watch. I had finished in there, and I'd probably never touch another stove again in my life. Just a minute. Lazarus Bundy!
What the?
Now I could finally leave. With what I had with me, I was sure I could scare Lupe to death. I held my breath. Don't look down, Mars. Don't look down. It was time to terrorize that poor woman beyond all limits. Woo!
My God, who's there?
You know who I am, woman.
Archbishop Molina?
As God be my witness, verily it is me. My imitation of medieval language is pitiful, but I never bothered taking a course.
But por qué you have come to me?
Thy beauty beckoned me back to this vivid land, and to its call I shan't resist.
But you are a ghost, and yo soy alive.
Ooh, we can easily remedy that, can't we? She was totally spooked. If the words had opened a crack, the bloody heart would kick the door down. The woman took off like a race car at the green light. Well, at that point, I had to find something. I had to find it fast before she could call for help.